You are the revolt. The revolution in consciousness begins now. And that's what this is about. You don't create a revolution in consciousness by just doing the same damn thing over and over again. How many revolutions and revolts have you seen on this planet? Better yet, how many have you heard about? Dozens? Hundreds? Do they do any good? Of course they don't. They don't do any good because the people that end up in power after the revolution just keep the same system going. And it goes beyond that. What we need is as I said, a revolution in consciousness itself. We got to take it back to the realm of causality. Because right now, we're just living in the realm of symptoms. We're living in the realm of effects. And anything we do here, our actions here are meaningless. Which is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to break through. I'm trying desperately to break through to the level of consciousness itself and say, hey, we're doing wrong. We have time. Grab the wheel, turn it around. Turn it around, we can set this whole thing right. Golgotha. Translated Golgotha means, I forget if it's place of the skull or I believe it's hill of the skull. The fabled place of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. In the concept of the Gnostics, the crucifixion was entirely symbolic, and I believe the Gnostics being the esoteric mystery school religion, you know, Christianity being the exoteric, you know, God for the masses kind of thing. The Gnostics viewed the crucifixion totally differently. To them, it was a symbolic allegory. Christ is crucified at Golgotha. Christ representing perfect unity consciousness. Christ also representing the present moment. Or possibly unity consciousness, Christ consciousness, if you will, in the present moment. He is crucified between two thieves. On one side is the thief of the past. The other side is the thief of the future. So, not even necessarily unity consciousness. Let's just say consciousness. Consciousness in the present moment. Being robbed by thoughts of the past and thoughts of the future. To live in the past, to keep your consciousness in the past, to keep your consciousness in the past is to be tormented by your memory. To keep consciousness in the future is to be tormented by your imagination. So imagination and memory, robbing, stealing consciousness, stealing consciousness is ultimately crucified and destroyed by fear of the past, fear of the future, regret from the past, and fear of the future. Memory and imagination. But I'm not saying imagination's a bad thing. I'm not saying a memory is a bad thing either. Thoughts of the past, memories of the past, thoughts of the future. Rob the present moment. Consciousness is weakened by these things. And this goes back to finance again. This goes back to money, the concept of money. See, money is a great way to keep consciousness in the future. Consciousness will always be looking to the future if you're in a debt situation. You owe money and you're constantly, I have to work overtime, I have to, you're constantly angling in your head. How am I going to make the mortgage? How am I going to make, my rent payment? I'll have to work overtime this weekend. I'll have to do this. I'll have to finagle. I'll have to do this or that. Money just constantly keeps you in the future. Money is a great way to keep you and me thinking about the future. You're never in the present moment. You're always looking to your next paycheck and looking to, what can I buy? What can I pay for? What do I owe? The present is called the present for a reason. It's a present. It's a gift. Every moment that you have right here, right now, is a gift. Treat it like that. Don't live for a future of paying bills. This is your time. This is your place. Make your mark, do your thing. Be everything that you can be right now. Don't look to the future and say, oh, I'm not going to have the money. I'm not going to. No. Be the best person that you can be in this present moment. I'm spending my time giving you this information. I'm not doing this to satisfy any kind of ego. I'm not doing this for any kind of gratification of self. I'm not doing this for any selfish reasons. I'm doing this because I genuinely feel like you need to know these things. You need to understand these things. That there are too many people who do not understand what I'm talking about. There are too many people that don't understand what this is about, and they're wrapped up in things like work and television and movies and all these trivialities. And you're losing perspective. You've lost perspective. There is a big picture. I've been studying occult sciences, things like Hermeticism. I've been studying these things for many years, 23 years. I'm 46 now. I started when I was 23. I've been studying these things literally half my life. Half my life in a life that's arguably half over. I want you to understand these things because these things are important. These things are necessary. I wouldn't waste my time. I'm very much about living in the present moment. I'm very much about life. I take great joy in this existence. I take joy in this existence because I recognize it. I understand what it is. I understand that I'm consciousness, temporarily inhabiting flesh, temporarily having an experience. You get confused, and it's easy in this world to get confused. You think you're your body. You think you're your job. You think, no, stop, reset. You are not your body. You are not the job, the menial task that you perform. You are not any of these things. You are unlimited. Do you hear me? You're unlimited. You have no bounds other than what could be referred to as a universal law or universal principles. And that boundary is don't hurt other people. Don't hurt others. And don't take them from them what isn't yours. Those are your boundaries. That leaves a lot of wide open territory. That's a lot to explore. You couldn't explore it in one lifetime, which, by the way, is why we have more than one. To be trapped in the concept that you are this flesh suit, that you're this person, this is you, and you're gonna look just like this after you die. You're just gonna pop out, full scale. You're just gonna pop out of here, walk out of this flesh suit, and you're gonna look down at your hands and see, wow, I'm still me. You are not the you think you are, okay? If you could recognize and see what you really are, you wouldn't recognize it. Chances are you probably wouldn't want to see it, because you're so attached to this body. You're you. I'm me. That's ego. Ego is a good thing. I know a lot of people will tell you that ego is bad. Ego is a good thing. If it weren't for my ego, I would get hungry and I would feed you instead of me. Even if you weren't hungry, I would be shoving food in your mouth because I felt hunger and I saw another person. And ego is what separates us in the animal form that we're in so that we could survive. That's all ego is. It's a survival mechanism. It isn't you. There are a lot of people out there that just want to feed their ego. Your ego is there to serve a purpose. Like I said, you get hungry, you feed yourself. You don't feed the person next to you. You're in a dangerous situation. Something, an animal in the woods is looking to do you harm or something. You fight or flight. You either defend yourself or, if the situation's too much to handle, you run. You don't stand there and let the animal maul you to pieces because you feel like you're one with it. Ego's important and it's there for a purpose. Too many people in the world get trapped in ego. And they start this process of accumulation. They want to pull everything out of the ground and put it in their backyard or front yard to show off, hey, look what I have. It isn't about whoever has the most at the end of the game wins. There's no winners or losers in this. There's no winners or losers in this. If you get right down to it, it's all about personal development. The real measure, if you want to call it that, if you want to give it a name, and you want to say, like, okay, there's no winners or losers. There doesn't have to be. It's all about what you've learned. That's all it is. That's what this entire, little hologram that we're living in, that's what it's all about. The only real thing, the only thing that's real in your experience is your consciousness and the consciousness of people around you, which is actually unified. Take it, back a little further, and it's unified anyway. And there's no trying until you get it right. Don't even go there. Oh, you only get to live, 10 times, or however many times until you've learned your lessons. How can you possibly learn every perspective in this world? I don't care how many lifetimes that you've had. How can you possibly learn every perspective? And that's just this world. And yes, I promise you there's others. I'm not going to sit here and call myself a teacher. I'm exactly like you. I'm somebody who's exploring possibilities. I am an expression of consciousness that is exploring possibilities. Right now, I'm doing it in this world. I like to read. I don't really watch television. I don't pay attention to news. I don't pay attention to media. If you want information about the so-called Illuminati or so-called bloodline families or anything like that, go somewhere else. I'm not going to give you that. Do I know it? Maybe. You start down this road, this line of thought, you run across it, of course. There are plenty of people out there that have spent their lifetime exploring it. Go visit something that they do. If the Illuminati is your thing, I would suggest Fritz Springmeier. He seems to know a lot about it. Honestly, I don't think it matters. I don't really care. Let's say we all get together, right? We're going to start a revolution, man. We're going to have a revolt. Yeah, we're going to have a revolt. We're going to take up arms. We're going to overthrow the oligarchy. We're going to take those bloodline families and we're going to hang them out to dry, man. Yeah. And then what would we be? What would we be if we took every media mogul and we took every oil company CEO or whatever, people that you perceive as being in power, what if we took them all out? Well, then we would be the people in power, right? Yeah, then we can make a difference. You think? No. The system itself is polluted. The system itself is corrupt. It would only be a matter of time before you or I, both of us, all of us, were corrupted by the system all over again. And we would be the new oligarchy. We would be the new world order. And what would that solve? Slavery would still exist on this planet. I'll be frank, I'm a slave. I'm a slave just like you. I mean, have you taken a walk around, say, a shopping mall or a plaza or something and just seen people? You know, they don't look well. Glued to cell phones, glued to distractions. Definitely not living in the present moment. Whether you know it or not, whether you understand it or not, whether you realize it or not, you live in a condition of slavery. I've heard it termed economic slavery. I've heard it termed many different ways. You're a slave. You were born a slave. I do not want to see you die a slave.